My name is Hayley Griffin. Sit back and I hope that you enjoy my reading. For this next novelty sentimental piece, I am joined by Ted Wyke Smith. The Old Soldier's Granddaughter by Richard Phipps. Where are you going to, Grandad? All dressed up in your Sunday best. I notice you've had a haircut and shave, while your grey flannel trousers are pressed. You look very smart in a collar and tie, with your blazer all buttoned up tight. And just look at the shine you have on your shoes. You must have been cleaning all night. Why do you have medals attached to your chest, and a beret to cover your head? Tell me, what is that flower pinned to your lapel? Why is its colour so red?
My dear little child, I'm going to honour a debt I incurred long ago to young friends that I knew when I was a boy, names of Billy and Kenny and Joel. While as to my dress, well, I have to look smart for friends as special as they, and the belly I wear was the one we all wore as we left for the front line that day. The medals they earned where these flowers grew wild. As a bloom, it seems simple, and yet I wear it with pride for young men who died as a sign that I didn't forget.
And why is it, Grandad, you're looking so sad? Why is that tear on your cheek? Why is it your voice has a different sound? It quivers whenever you speak.
Well, that's something, my dear, that's hard to explain to someone so tender in years. I was thinking of pals that I knew long ago, and the memory brought me to tears.
Can I come with you, Grandad, to visit your friends? I promise I won't be a pest. And can I have a flower exactly like yours to pin on the side of my chest?
Good day to you, Bill. How are you doing? Here's my little granddaughter called Paige. How are you, Ken? So what's you, young Joel? You don't look a day older in age.
Who are you talking to, Grandad? There's nobody here but me.
Forgive me, my child. I forgot you were there. I was talking to my memory.
An Old Photo Album by Richard Phipps. In the White Willow's home for old people, slumped down in an old rocking chair, sat Flo, who had just reached 100, bright-eyed and with snowy white hair. She was clutching an old photo album, with pages well faded and worn, containing the span of a lifetime of old Flo, since the day she was born. Page 1 held a photo of Mother, brown-tinted and faded with age. She was standing alongside her husband, a schoolmaster, a well-knowledged sage. Below was a picture of Florence, a couple of days old, nothing more. Stark naked she lay by the fire, on an old sheepskin rug on the floor. Flo flicked through the pages at random, to pause whenever she'd find a picture that brought back a memory through the veil of a wandering mind. There at 18 she stood at the altar, in a gown that was flowing and white. 'Twas the first time she'd parted from Mother. She smiled at the tears shed that night. On another page there was her true love, the one single man in her life. Hand in hand, there they stood at the station, the brave soldier boy and his wife. As she gazed at the snap, her eyes watered. With the very next photo, she wept. There it was, the field of white crosses, and the spot where her one true love slept. From there on, the photos looked different. Her face seemed to age day by day, and her hair, that was once black and shining, somehow was now lifeless and grey. On another page there was the cottage where alone she had lived 50 years. That there had never been any children had brought her much sorrow and tears. At 80 they wanted her cottage to build a new housing estate. The folk who had come to collect her took the snap of her stood by the gate. The pictures that now filled the album had shown 18 birthdays or more of Flo and the resident inmates on a rocking chair by the lounge door. Then a voice called out, "It's 9:30. Come on, folks, it's time for your bed." The rocking chair stood still and silent. When they checked it, they found old Flo dead. There was no one to weep at the graveside, no family to mourn at the loss. 100 years counted for nothing except the word Flo on the cross. Back at White Willow's home they were busy, with a job everyone thought as a drag, disposing of all old Flo's memories, which was stuffed in a black plastic bag. The dustbin man came on a Friday and loaded his van with a sigh. On the top was an old open album, showing Flo looking up at the sky. In the White Willow's home for old people, slumped down in an old rocking chair, sat Ted with an old photo album, who was 80 with silvery hair. Modern Day Grandmas by Richard Phipps. Whatever became of those grandmas, those ladies with silvery locks, who pottered around in the kitchen in starched aprons and navy blue frocks, who smelt of sweet lavender water, or sometimes of newly baked bread, those of soft and most copious bosoms, where a child could lay its weary head? And what of the smells from the kitchen, of the sizzling roasts and the bakes, or the scones with her homemade jam on, and slices of cinnamon cakes? There were many more smells from the household, carbolic, floor polish and stuff, while from Grandad, who sat by the fire, the smell of tobacco and snuff. Just a few of my thoughts in the twilight, as I sit by the soft fire's glow, and I think of the differences now in the world, of those golden days long, long ago. Nowadays it is glamorous grannies, with hair piled high on their heads, high heels and the latest of fashions, with lips of a fiery red, while it's burgers you smell from the kitchen, with frozen French fries for your tea, with a cake that you get from a packet saying best before Feb 93, while the smells that come out of the kitchen are sweet honeysuckle and rose that are sprayed from a can in the cupboard, like the summer invading your nose. There's Grandad, who sat by the telly, with never a word to his spouse, who's taken up amateur drama and hardly appears in the house. There's a pain in my heart for the pleasure that died with the passing of years, of the joy of a Sunday at Grandma's, and the vision that's lost through the years. A Silent Call by Joe Palmer. Hark, how the earth is silently calling. Save my forests, save my trees. Stop discharging your lethal poisons into my rivers and my seas. She calls with the sound of the sad trees falling, where no others will take their place, until where the forests once abounded, there will just be an empty space. Feel her dismay as the seabirds struggle. Hear her voice as they feebly cry. and then weighed down by the flightless feathers, caught in the oil-filled waves, they die. The earth then gives us another warning as we breathe her polluted air. When we find hills and valleys eroded, leaving the wildlife in despair. We should be stewards of Earth's resources, in accord with the Maker's plan. If we lay waste to what is provided, Earth may no longer be home to man. MultiColoured Flywheel by Richard Phipps. There's a humming and a strumming and a kind of sort of drumming from the multicoloured flywheel over there. And the man that sits beside it says he really can't abide it, so he kicks the pedal with a "I don't care." Every day for 8 long hours he is covered by the showers of bright red sparks that fly with every spin. So he kicks the pedal faster as he tries to be its master, but he's slowly being beaten by the din. How he loathes it, how he hates it, he'll do anything to break it. Got to beat it keeps on pounding in his brain. And the only way to beat it is continually mistreat it. So he kicks it, but the flywheel spins again. First he's shouting, then he's swearing, and his eyes are wildly glaring, while his foot keeps kicking faster all the time. But the wheel keeps right on spinning, as it did in the beginning, and another metal strip goes down the line. As the 8 long hours are ending, he can see the metal bending, and one more hefty blow should do the trick. Then with every ounce of power, the last second of the hour, hits it hard and sees the spinning flywheel stick. With a smile of jubilation, as he turns to leave his station, in a low voice said, "I knew that I could win." And he's happy now he's going, now contented in the knowing that he stopped the multicoloured flywheel's spin. When he's gone comes Joe the fitter, stepping lightly on the litter, scattered round the now still flywheel over there. Then with pliers and with spanner and a little rubber hammer, gets quietly down to do the night's repair. Taking out the strip that's shattered of the flywheel that was battered, picks another metal strip from off the pile, that the man who did the breaking had spent 8 long hours making, fits it with the smallest rub-down of his file. After lining up the rotor, press the button on the motor, and shakes his head to clear away the din. Gives the pedal just one kick, it's enough to do the trick, and sees the multicoloured flywheel spin. The Wedding Day by Richard Phipps. Mother was there, dressed in her Sunday best. The groom and the best man wore top hat and vest. There was Great Uncle Owen's wife, dear Auntie Flo, in a pink lacy hat with a large satin bow. There were page boys in blue with those round sailor hats, an American cousin with a gold cane and spats. There were friends of the bridegroom and those of the bride, and of course the odd gatecrasher for a free ride. There were folk doing shopping, all stopping to stare. There was somebody's ex that no one wanted there. The best man looked nervous, the groom anxious too. The photographer watched, he had little to do. Then the bells started ringing, 'twas 4:45 when the vicar stood welcoming all by the door. As they entered the gloom, from a day warm and bright, it was grooms to the left, with brides to the right. Once the guests had all entered and settled inside, the organ erupted with "Here comes the bride." From the front the bride's mother looked round with a smile, as the star of the day slowly swept down the aisle. Didn't father look handsome, so proud and so calm? And who was that beauty attached to his arm? Could this be her baby of 17 years, radiating in glory through the veil of her tears? "Do you?" came the question. "I do," they replied. "Then I duly pronounce you, you may kiss the bride." Then the bells rang with joy as the couple appeared, and the bulbs started flashing and all the crowd cheered. There were shots with the page boys and shots with the bride. Group photos were taken with relatives side. There were showers of confetti and hands full of rice, while those in the know thought it well worth the price. With a wave from the bride as she tossed the bouquet, and a large silver limousine sped her away. Away from the mother who for 17 years had nurtured and raised her through laughter and tears. Away from her father, his treasure and joy. She sped from the scene on the arm of her boy. Left the couple recalling their own wedding day. Hand in hand, still in love, the pair went on their way. Could You, Would You? By Richard Phipps. Could you love me? Would you love me? If it was us against the rest? If each step that I take is downward, leading on to second best? Could it? Would it ever falter? True love that you swore today? Could the struggle make you alter? Would you turn and walk away? If eyes at you are all turned outward, and whispers are the only word, will your head be high and forward? Could your ears deny they've heard? When fashioned clothes are late in coming, or half-filled stomach cries in pain, and worn-out shoes are tired of drumming, window shopping in the rain. When the struggle makes you weary, makes you old before your time, will your eyes retain their sparkle, or look accusing into mine? When we've spent our lives together, and we check the final bill, after all you've had to weather, will you say you love me still? Stuff and Nonsense by Richard Phipps. On a sea that was calm as a mill pond, with waves nearly 60 feet high, were 6 elephants dancing a tango on the cream of a blackberry pie. In a colander trailing behind them, with 20 more holes than a net, were 65 kippers with boots on to stop their poor hands getting wet. While they whistled the national anthem through a gong on the end of their tails, a humming bee stood to attention. On his back he had 9 killer whales. As the one in the middle blew bubbles through a comb which it held in its hand, the other 8 sang Rule Britannia as they casually came in to land. A jellyfish flew out to meet them. With a spoon she was combing her hair. Then a snail yelled out in silence, "Have you got anything to declare?" To the starfish, while counting its fingers, as it juggled a red rubber ball, said with its suitcase filled up to the brim, "You can see I have nothing at all." This made the octopus angry, who said, "That's enough for today." Then they bundled them all in a rice paper bag, and a dragonfly towed them away. I am concerned about the cruelty inflicted on animals in the name of entertainment, and was prompted to write these words. The entertainers, dancing and howling in pain and frustration, the people think that it's part of the act. As the ringmaster approaches stealthily, they all begin to clap. But he paid no heed to his onlookers, and up to the poor bear he came. The animal retreated to the corner, washed over in misery and shame. "Up with you, up!" the ringmaster bellowed, and gave the poor creature a kick. The crowd laughed in amusement, as the bear bore the brunt of a stick. "More, more!" they shout as it finished, and the ringmaster lapped up applause, and the bear lumbered on, downhearted, his feet locked in iron jaws. The Prayer by Richard Phipps. Benedict Simpson every night would climb the stairs and dim the light. On bended knee, at foot of bed, would clasp his hands and bow his head. And for 5 minutes he would say these words, "Dear Lord, to thee I pray. Please look after Mam and Dad, my sister Sarah, Auntie Glad. Feed the starving, help the poor, heal the sick and end all war. Protect me as I sleep in bed, and please don't let me wake up dead. Watch my cat when it's out at night. Make me brave so I can fight. Help the lonely, end the grief. Let my granddad find his teeth. Mend the ozone, clean the seas, save the whales, protect the trees. I've asked a lot, so if you like, forget all this. Can I have a bike? Can I do my limericks now?
No.
Oh. Can I do my limericks now?
No.
That concludes our selection of writings from then and now. I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed it. I would like to finish with a few of my limericks.
No.
Oh. Has he gone?
Yes.
There once was a doctor called Pitts who took a whole body to bits. He said to the press that he had to confess he doesn't know where it all fits. There once was a chess player called Rook who played all his moves from a book. One day he was said to have played from his head, and all of his pieces got took. There once was a lady from D who was hit on the head by a key.
Hayley is coming back.